You know, I don't really want to be a guy who chases the algorithm, but it seems like anime videos are doing really good for me. So, I'm gonna try to do one anime video a week. Can't promise it'll always happen, but I'm gonna try. So, I came up with an interesting idea, and I hope you guys like this video. The term peak, what does it mean? Well, it means a high summit, the highest point of a mountain. And when they put it into anime terms, it means the best part of the anime, the best part of the movie, the best part, period, the best of the series, the peak. And One Piece has two spots that are peaks. You have your Water 7 / Enies Lobby. I always consider it just one arc because it's the culmination. And then you have Marineford, which is the other peak. But why? Marineford was the story arc that followed Impel Down, Amazon Lily, after what happened at Chibodi Archipelago. It follows Luffy, who is by himself, having to try to rescue his brother from being executed. And it has him teaming up with former villains, and having to team up with one of the four warlords of the sea, Whitebeard. It's considered by many to be the peak, when the action's insane. And yes, the fighting is great, the characters are great, but I don't know if it holds a candle to Water 7 and Enies Lobby. But that's arguable. Luffy and his newfound allies are trying to fight against the 7 warlords of the sea, and the 3 admirals, and all the rest of the marines that are there. He needs to get through all the enemies pretty much by himself in order to reach his brother. And that means facing off against far more powerful people than he's ready for. And it's great. And it also has Luffy teaming up with, like I said, former villains. You have Crocodile, who's there to help him. And you have, Buggy the Clown, Mr. 3. And it's great, but they're fighting a losing battle until Whitebeard, starts really wrecking people because he's so overpowered. But even with that, Luffy fails in the end, and his brother is executed. The weight of this moment is felt for the rest of the series. Luffy failed, and he has to go through training. And it is absolute peak anime. The storytelling here, the build-up, the fact that it opens up the world for what's going to happen next, why Luffy must become stronger, why his friends and his allies must become stronger, and this moment cements it. But I feel like the other peak is better, and that's just my opinion. Water 7. This starts a very, very important arc. And I personally feel like this is when One Piece was at its absolute peak, even more so than Marineford, because you had so much emotional weight between everything that happened with all the characters. The Going Merry is damaged and they need to get it fixed. So they reach Water 7, which is a shipbuilder's island, and that's when they find out that they can't repair it. Usopp, deep in his heart, knows that they can't fix it, but he has self-doubts because as this story has gone along, he's remained weak, but his friends have all gotten stronger and stronger. And he feels like if they can just get rid of the ship, they can just get rid of him. His doubts are one of the best parts of this storyline. He's afraid that he's falling behind, that he can't keep up with his friends, and that he's going to be a burden. So him and Luffy wind up getting into a fight. By the way, those are the episodes 235 and 236 of the anime if you want to watch. Yes, I have memorized those episodes and go back to watch them again and again. It is incredible, the emotional weight of these two fighting each other and then Usopp leaving the crew. Then you have everything going on with Robin and how she seemingly has betrayed the crew, and just the conspiracies and the madness of what's going on. Then you get the best flashback with the most weight, up until very recently with Kuma's flashback, but I don't want to spoil that. You have Robin's backstory. You find out what's been happening. Then you have the Straw Hats team up to go save her. And there's the mysterious Soga King, or Sniper King, for some of the people who didn't watch it subbed. And he's there to help. Of course, most of us know that he's a friend of Usopp's. Yes, Usopp called him in. That's exactly what it is. So then you get the Straw Hats fighting against CP9 to save Robin, and to help this particular antagonist through the story, Franky, who later on becomes one of the crew. But at this point, you didn't really know. He was just sort of like an a-hole, but he was not as bad as he was first portrayed. They have to fight through, and you have all the weight of all the characters being desperate to win. Chopper has his Rumble Balls, which, if I remember correctly, he had stated in the past that he couldn't use 3 of them in a single setting. And he had to during this time, and he lost control and became a giant monster. And it was up to Franky to save him, because he was destroying everything and attacking everyone. And that's the thing, with this particular arc, every single one of the Straw Hats was fighting for their lives against impossible odds, and it seemed like they were not going to be able to win unless they pulled out all the stops. You had so much weight of all the characters and what they were trying to do, and it just, to me, it was more emotionally resonant than Marineford. To this point, this was the hardest fight for Luffy to win. Even with the new abilities Luffy had used, which began the whole, is his powers actually rubber conspiracy? He had to pull everything out, and it still took Usopp taking his mask off and saying that he would fight Rob Lucci to make Luffy fight and win. It is the closest that they had come to losing at this point. The hardest enemies and the most weight. And when they won, it was a complete and total victory. And then you had the Going Merry show up and save them one last time. The weight of everything with this arc is just so emotionally resonant, which is why it has stuck with me since I watched it week to week when it was airing 20 some odd years ago at this point. I just don't know if we're gonna get anything like that from this point forward. Yes, Marineford was great. I just don't think it was as good as Enies Lobby and Water 7. I'm really hoping that this final war is going to be everything that we hope it is. And I hope that we can get that same emotional level that we got from Water 7 and Enies Lobby. Because to me, that was peak.